This is the Shaver Prep Football Podcast, episode 27, season 2, presented by Aquarius Home Services and brought to you by True Stone Financial, 612 Quarterbacks, Pizza Barn, and powered by 10K Construction. All right, now it's time to reveal our Talk North 2025 preseason All-State football team. And joining me to do that and break down some of the players, Ryan Burns, 247 Sports and Gopher Radio. You kind of follow this stuff pretty closely. You keep an eye on recruits throughout the state of Minnesota, especially with your coverage of Gopher football. Just an overview, because when I look at this, I see 10 Power 4 football commits, which is an enormous amount for this state. Mm-hmm. But underneath that is a level of NDSU, South Dakota State, Air Force. I mean, this is a kind of looks like a banner year in some ways of football recruits in Minnesota. Yeah,
it's a fascinating type of class because you look at even at the top end where you have guys like Roman Voss, Pierce Peterson, Andrew Trout. There's 4-star kids in there and a lot of 4-star kids for the state of Minnesota, which we historically don't see here. Right. I mean, in a historic year, in a normal year, it's normally 1 or 2 guys. And I think depending upon the recruiting service you look at, there's as many as 4, which I'll be the first to tell you, I'm a Minnesota kid. I've grown up in this. I've covered this state in recruiting for 15 years. You don't often see that. That's a once in a decade type of thing. And then you mention it, you continue to slide down 10 Power 5 recruits. That's, I'd say, above average, certainly. I know that Matt Campbell and Iowa State are very happy with some of the guys.
Got 3 of them.
Yeah, that they're very happy with. And then you have guys like Tim Polasek up at NDSU, Eric Schmidt at North Dakota, all the other Dakota schools, even Air Force, you mentioned it. I think it's a pretty good year for the state of Minnesota. And I know that there's a lot of coaches, whether they're at the Big 10 level, Big 12 level, or you slide down to the Missouri Valley, or even I've talked to Northern Sun coaches who are like, this is going to be a pretty good year in the state of Minnesota. So I'm happy that this state can produce the way that they have been.
What's interesting about those 4-star athletes is that 2 of them are skill level kids.
Yeah.
That normally doesn't happen out of here. Yes, Michael Floyd, Larry Fitzgerald, they sprinkle them throughout.
Correct.
But to have 2 in Peter Sean and Roman Voss is pretty impressive.
Yeah, it's an astute observation on your part. That's the number one qualm I hear from college coaches throughout all the levels is it's so difficult to find high-level athletes at the skill position because you think about it too. Why? Why is it so few and far between? Well, you and I both know this, but hockey. I mean, there are no more, I'll rephrase it this way. Minnesota is the number 1 state in the NHL for players in the league. I think there's 56 of them. That is by far the most.
Right.
Well, those guys could also be playing tight end or linebacker.
Mason West.
Correct. Or you look at someone like
Anders Lee.
Or like how great the basketball recruiting is in this state.
Oh, it's phenomenal.
I think about a guy like Will Tschetter, who's now at Michigan. Yeah. I know that there were many Big Ten teams who wish he would have played tight end. Right. Or a guy like Jalen Suggs.
Right.
He could have been a quarterback or a high-level skill position player wherever.
For sure.
So when you think about guys like Peterson, who is a great multi-sport athlete as well, Roman Voss, I mean, we just talked about basketball. I mean, he scored his 1,000th point as a sophomore down there at Jackson County Central. So I'm glad that some of these kids finally decided to stick with football so we can see what their trajectory would be. But yes, to get some skill position guys is real fun.
All right, so let's dive into the 2025 Talk North preseason All-State football team. And we start with the athletes because that's the best place to start. And there are 2 of them for sure. Roman Voss out of JCC, 6'4", 230, going to the University of Minnesota. And Pierce Peterson from Triton, who's going to Penn State. I think, Ryan, these 2 will be compared to each other throughout their collegiate careers.
Yeah, for a very long time. And they're both going to be playing tight end at the collegiate level, to your point. They do a lot of different things for their high school teams. They both play quarterback, both play different places defensively, but both Penn State, so James Franklin in Penn State, and then PJ Fleck in Minnesota see them as tight ends. And whether they want to be or not, unfortunately for them, for the next 4 or 5 years, they are going to be compared. Now, they're very different. They're both bigger athletes. I think of someone like Roman Voss as I know that a lot of Gopher fans won't want to hear this. He reminds me of Sam Laporta at Iowa, who's now with the Detroit Lions.
I think fans would be okay with you saying that.
Considering all the Iowa tight ends over the years that have done so well in the National Football League. I think if it goes well for him, that would be the comp. And then with Pierce, he's just a giant athlete where Penn State's going to have to put 30, 35 pounds on him, but you look at what his track, his accolades there, where he was, I believe, the track athlete of the year at the state.
He ran a 48 flat almost in the 400 meters.
He made the
which
state
is amazing.
final, I believe, in 4 different events, which at
He's a
6'5" is tremendous. So 2 very, very good kids. I know them pretty well, and I'm excited to see what they do in the Big Ten.
All right, let's look at quarterback now. We choose 2. Jet Feeney, who's the junior quarterback out of Moorhead, 48 touchdown passes last year for the Spuds, and he's undecided right now, being recruited Division I. And Mason West, of course, out of Edina, who I just talked to in the studio. He's now 6'7", about 225.
Yeah.
Obviously going to Michigan State to play hockey. He will come back and play football this fall, then go to Fargo to play hockey to finish out the year. What a contrast in players, but
very much
both
so.
very good.
Yeah, very much so. I mean, Mason West, a first-round draft pick of the Chicago Blackhawks. Very excited to see what he can do in the National Hockey League once it gets there. But you have the 6'7" kid from Edina, and then you have the 6'1" kid from Moorhead. Now, Moorhead gets to come down to the cities
last week of the season.
Yeah, I mean, I'm very excited. I'll probably head to that game.
For that game between Moorhead and Edina.
Yes, to see those two go at each other. But 2 very different skill sets, 2 very good kids. I'll be very curious to see as Jet Feeney goes throughout his junior season if his Power 4 interest continues to pick up. But certainly 2 of the better quarterbacks I can remember coming out of the state.
All right, let's move on to running back. We choose 2. Caleb Francois, who is moving to running back, the former quarterback for the Minnetonka Skippers, 6'1", 195, going to play his college football at Iowa State. And Ty Rich out of Moorhead, who's a junior. I think he has been offered by the Gophers.
Yep.
These are 2. I mean, to me, the running back position in Minnesota is a little thin. I don't see a lot of, like we've seen in the past, where there's some guys like a Carson Hansen, who's
Correct.
A multiple year player that stands out. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's 2 very worthy selections. I think 2 very different players, where Caleb, to your point, did a lot of everything for Minnetonka last year. And then Matt Campbell looks at him, gets him some live evaluations and said, we're going to move you from quarterback to running back. Now we'll be able to see if he was right in that regard, starting to look at that at Minnetonka this fall. And then the Moorhead running back, I mean, he's a smaller kid, but you look at the production that he's had as an underclassman, and now he'll be going into his junior season. I mean, he's one of the better players in the state. I know that you talk to some of the people even down at Kansas State, where the former NDSU coaches, they were his first offer. They know the Fargo Moorhead area very, very well. They wanted to be early on that young man. They were the first offer for a reason. PJ Fleck and his staff have followed suit, but 2 of the most explosive athletes, I would say, in the state.
Let's run through the receivers, and I'll put the 3 of them kind of together. Jaden Moore out of Hopkins, who's a basketball player, being recruited in both football and basketball. David Mack is the junior receiver for Jet Feeney out of Moorhead, 6', 170, again being recruited, Division I. And we'll put Cade Bush in there as the tight end out of Chanhassen, who's going to Arkansas. That's a little unusual. I think the last Arkansas guy was Frank Ragnow.
Same high school.
Yeah.
A lot of connections between Chanhassen, which Frank Ragnow, one of my favorite human beings to cover in the recruiting process. And he obviously just retired, but a lot of connections between the University of Arkansas and Chanhassen High School. But you look at those 3 players, I mean, three guys that are very explosive with the ball in their hands. You mentioned Jaden Moore. I'm very curious to see where he goes, whether it's basketball or football wise. And I know that once football schools heard that he had interest, and he picks up all the Big Ten offers following his sophomore season there. And we'll be very curious to see what sport he decides on. Then someone like David Mack, I mean, we talk about Jet Feeney earlier. Right. I mean, this is the guy out here making all the plays out at Moorhead. And I'm very curious to see how he does against the city competition. And then Cade Bush, I mean, someone that not a lot of Big Ten and Big 12 and even Midwest schools made a move on. Arkansas came all the way up to the state of Minnesota to get him. If there is one player that I'm very curious to see, and I got circled red ink, what does their senior tape look like? It's going to be Cade Bush, to see if places like Minnesota, Iowa, and other regional schools decide He's a lot closer to home here.
And remember, these are verbal commitments, so things can change.
Correct. These are just word of mouth. Yeah.
All right, let's go to the offensive line. We'll finish out the offense here. Of course, Ethan Beckman out of Prior Lake. He's 6'5", 350. Going to go to Iowa State. Andrew Trout, of course, one of the Gopher recruits, the 4-star, 6'7", 280 out of Ricori. Owen Linder's going to go to Iowa, 6'5", 275. Weston Rowe is going to play for South Dakota State, 6'7", out of JCC. And Braden Petzel out of Mankato East, who's 6'9", 275, going to Northern Illinois. Just an overall thought of those 5 offensive linemen. What stands out to you?
I mean, this is where the state of Minnesota makes their bread and butter here, is gigantic offensive linemen. I think if you've got a smorgasbord, I will say, of different skill sets, different heights, different strengths and weaknesses. You look at a guy like Andrew Trout from Ricori. I mean, I think, to me, and this is about the only setting you can say something like this, he is the prettiest offensive lineman to come out of this state since potentially Joe Alt. I mean, he has all the physical tools you look for, and I know the Gophers are very happy with that. You don't see many teenagers looking the way he's looked in a long time. But then you also can go down the list, someone like Owen Linder, who I know that the University of Iowa is thrilled to get. And I mean, they were able to get him committed at, earlier here in the winter. Then you slide down a little bit to even like a Weston Rowe. Parents went to South Dakota State. I know they're thrilled that he's going to follow in his lineage. And then, a guy like Ethan Beckman, where he's going to have to potentially lose a little bit of weight before he plays for Matt Campbell. But he is one of the biggest maulers in the state of Minnesota. And I know that the folks at Prior Lake love him.
Yeah, I sat next to him. He did an interview with me that's going to be coming out later. He's a gigantic human being.
Yes, and offensive line historically is one of the places where this state does really well in producing talent. And I think these 5, they certainly embody that.
All right. Special teams, our kicker is Sawyer Riffle out of Brainerd, who's committed to North Dakota University. Let's move on to the defensive line now. And we've got 5 of them. Howie Johnson out of Forest Lake, who, of course, going to the University of Minnesota, 6'3", 270. Sawyer Jezierski is going to Iowa, 6'4", 265. Khalid Afuya from Stillwater, and they call him Khalid there, 6'4", 240. He's going to Iowa State. Hans Peterson out of Buffalo, who's going to Army, 6'4", 255. And Eli Diane for Wayzata. He's the only junior in this group. He's committed to the U, 6'4", 255. I think defensive line in the state of Minnesota, I could add so many other players.
Yeah, these are some tough selections for you.
In the group, because you got the guy at Holy Angels, a good player, Divine.
Yep.
I mean, there's a lot of good players out there, and I had to kind of whittle that one down. But overall thoughts?
Yeah, I think this is a very difficult selection. I would imagine that when you were going through and trying to make your deliberations, this one probably gave you the most amount of, I'd say, consternation as to who you're going to will it down to. And I think about a guy like Howie Johnson, great multi-sport athlete, one of the top throwers in the state of Minnesota. You look at the production for him, I think he has had 60 tackles for loss the last 2 years. And I think about how he's going to translate to the Big Ten level. I'm excited to see him as a pass rusher for the next handful of years in the Big Ten. And then you look at a guy like Sawyer from Edina, and I know that the University of Iowa is thrilled to have him as well. I remember watching his junior tape and then kind of following his recruiting traction throughout the recruiting process here the last 6 months. And you're thinking to yourself, when is that first Power 4 and then Power 2 and then Big Ten going to come in? He gets it here in the last.
And he takes it right away.
As he should. Yeah, the University of Iowa is one of the best at developing defensive linemen. And then Eli Diani from Wayzata. I mean, we have, I believe at 24/7 Sports has one of the top-rated kids in terms of in the nation right now. I think he's a top 150 kid overall, which you look at him at 6'4" and what he was able to do as a thrower. And then he's got a lot of development to do as a football player yet. And I know the coaches at Wayzata will be the first one to tell you that. But the physical attributes that he possesses coming out of this state, it's very difficult to find. I would love if he has, say, a Devin Eastern type of career. Devin Eastern is going to be a 3-year starter here for the Gophers in the Big Ten.
Yeah. When I saw Devin Eastern in high school at Shakopee, I thought he was already in college.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, he scared me. He was
correct.
So good.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to linebacker. And this, I have to be honest, this is probably the hardest group to figure out. Ryder Skansen out of Maple Grove is going to Air Force, 6'2", 225. And then I picked a couple of edge guys because there really isn't, at least not what I've seen, any sort of inside backers right now that stand out. And I could be wrong. Again, this is a preseason team, but Micah Fenney out of Norwood Young America is going to Augustana, 6'4", 240, and Caden Oakland out of Northfield, who's going to South Dakota State. Do you agree? The linebacker position a little bit different this year.
Yeah, especially if we're not sure what Blake Benton is at Shakopee,
Right.
which we'll see if we get to him here in a second. But a lot of versatility in that group to me, where you look at a guy like Micah Fenney, does a lot of different things. I've seen him live a handful of times. I know Jezierski at Augustana is thrilled to get a high-level athlete like him out there in the Northern Sun. And then you look at a guy like Caden Oakland, where he can bring a lot of versatility. You don't know if he's going to be an outside linebacker or a stand-up guy, depending upon the type of defense that they end up running out there at South Dakota State. But a lot of height, a lot of length, and a lot of explosion with your 3 selections there, certainly.
All right. Our last group is the defensive backs, and we picked 4. Deron Russell out of Waseca is going to NDSU, 6'1", 185. Braden Dozier out of Maple Grove. Also, in fact, this is an all NDSU group, pretty much. Braden Dozier out of Maple Grove. Blake Benton, who Ryan just talked about, he's being recruited heavily Division I. Got an offer from the Gophers, Missouri. There's a whole bunch of teams. Obviously, no decision yet being made by him. He is 6'3", 185, 190. He will likely at some point, maybe not this year, but at some point, will end up at that linebacker spot. And Kieris Barnslater out of Apple Valley, who's going to NDSU as well. Just some thoughts on the D-back position.
I know that Tim Polasek has a lot of faith in this group, obviously.
I would hope so. I would hope so.
Yeah, he was thrilled. I know that he's seen all of these guys live here over the last few months, and he's absolutely tickled pink to have this as his defensive back core that I know a lot of Bison fans can dream on over the next handful of years. And then you get a guy like Blake Benton, who I got a lot of respect for what his father does with that program, the head coach at Shakopee. I think Blake, you think about another recent Shakopee defensive back by the name of Garrison Monroe, who's now with the Gophers. I think he's a bigger version of him, and I know that Fleck and his staff are very excited about his future, but Blake is one of the best defensive backs, certainly in this state, and I'm happy to see he made the list, and I'm very excited to see his progress throughout his junior season.
Let's talk about the Gophers, because you cover them with your work that you do. Your thoughts on the 2026 recruiting class and kind of how you see this team doing this year.
Yeah, I think especially in-state here, I think they've done a really good job. Now, they would have loved to have had Pierce Peterson to that mix, and I can't blame him for wanting to go to Penn State, and especially with what Tyler Warren did in this most recent season. But being able to add guys like Roman Voss and Andrew Trout and Howie Johnson, I think you and I have followed this thing long enough to know you go back to the days of Michael Floyd or even a Chantrell Henderson type.
And they didn't get him.
No, or even, again, we can have recent examples of Joe Alt or Emerson Mandel. It's not always the hip thing or the cool thing to want to stay to go to the University of Minnesota, but I think you look at the recent track record that the Gophers have had with a first or a second round draft pick now in 6 consecutive seasons. I mean, you've grown up, you've covered this state for a very, very long time. Again, I grew up watching your show. I mean, I have the utmost respect for all of that. And it's interesting to see that now it's becoming, because of their NFL pedigree, and even them, the Gophers winning 8 or more games here, and I think 3 of the last 4 seasons, they're not a bad football team anymore. And if you have NFL aspirations, you can tell Andrew Trout or Howie Johnson, whoever it may be.
And there are certain positions that are getting attention. Offensive line is one of them. They seem to be kind of a factory for producing. And defensive backs, surprisingly, has become, used to be running backs, when the Barber and Maroney were here. But you can kind of see, the positions where kids are going, hey, I think I'm going to go play for them, because they're producing draft picks out of that position. So
or you think about
cool to see.
Or a spot like tight end where Brevin Spanford from St. Cloud Tech is now in his second year with the Dallas Cowboys, or Nick Callerup from Wayzata.
Seattle.
He's with Seattle. And I think their pitch to a guy like Roman Voss is, well, you've seen what we can do with guys like that who don't have, say, the prospect pedigree that you do. Well, we can still turn you into a great NFL player like these 2 guys who are still on NFL rosters as we sit here today.
I appreciate you doing this.
Absolutely.
Thanks so much for doing that. And again, you can see the 2025 preseason All-State football team also on our website and all those kind of things too. So thanks to Ryan very much, and we'll be right back. The Minnesota State Fair means fun, food, and a waterpalooza of a deal from Aquarius Home Services. That's right. Aquarius has a fair special on a Connecticut water treatment system that's perfect for your home. Worry-free drinking water, sparkling dishes, and softer skin. Sound good? Well, the deal is 36 months, 0% financing based on credit approval. Visit AquariusHomeservices.com for details. Aquarius, earning the right to be recommended. This episode is brought to you by 612 Quarterbacks, Minnesota's premier quarterback development program. At 612Qs, they're committed to creating a high-quality quarterback development program, both affordable and accessible. Their training goes beyond the basics, not only focusing on proper throwing mechanics and footwork, but also building strong football IQ, leadership, and resilience. Their mission is to educate, inspire, and challenge athletes to raise their standards on the field and in life. Through training and mentorship, they're building more than quarterbacks. They're building a community rooted in growth, accountability, and shared success. Learn more today at 612quarterbacks.com. Carson Hansen is my guest, and I guess my first question, being an alum from Iowa State, how are things in Ames, Iowa these days?
Yeah, I mean, the weather's great in the summer. Always love the 3 months in the summer to, have fun and hang around the pool and just be outside enjoying fishing and all that stuff. And football's been going great. So it's been a great time here at Ames.
I have read a few places that they are calling you the most underrated running back in the country after the fall that you had last year. 13 touchdowns on the ground. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I mean, I always try to take it with a humble perspective. I mean, they can have their opinions, and I think that's cool. And I appreciate them, spreading love. But I try to stay focused on what I do, my process. And I appreciate, them applauding me and my work. But yeah, I think it's going to be a great year coming up, and I'm excited for what's to come.
You were 6'1", like 190 at Lakeville South. Are you really at 220 right now?
Yeah, I'm hovering around 218, 220-ish. So yeah, it's been a process, but it's been a good process. Feeling the speed coming back, and the first or second year was kind of tough to put on the weight with the speed. So this year I'm feeling good. And ready to get out there.
Did you put the weight on because of just the physicality of the Big 12 and just the everyday play, the physical play?
Yeah, as a running back, we take a beating usually throughout the season. So it's kind of just a little bit more body armor to take those hits and stuff like that. So it's also that, and just being able to play at that level is you got to just be a little beefier.
For those that don't know, Carson Hansen was the two-time Gatorade Player of the Year in Minnesota high school football, 21 and 22, running back in the Power T offense at Lakeville South, which featured your speed. Two-time Care 11 football player on the All-Metro team. You were the 2022 Star Tribune Metro Player of the Year, first-team All-State AP Player of the Year. Should I keep going? I mean, the accolades go on and on. 4,500 yards of rushing, 57 touchdowns. How would you describe your high school career at Lakeville South, and especially playing for a guy like Ben Burke?
Yeah. To start off with Ben Burke, a great coach, a great mentor, a great person and human being. First of all, he really truly cared who we were as men, and kind of, drawing that process of, he wants more than a football player, and he wants to see us excel at the next level, and just when we're fathers one day as well. So that was really cool. And then the whole career as high school, it kind of was a little bit of a blur. I guess you could say, because you kind of get caught up in the
Sure.
process of things. Um, but it was a lot of fun, starting off my freshman year, getting into that prior late game, and
Three
it kind of just
touchdowns
hitting
in
it.
that game. You just took off.
Yeah, kind of just hitting it off from there, and it kind of just was the start, the flame to the rest of it. And yeah, it was just a great experience and a great team to play with, and been on some great teams, so I'm very grateful for that.
How are you a different running back today than you were a senior in high school?
Yeah, I would say I learned my vertical ability through the holes and try to get through the holes quick as fast as possible from high school. But I think what I've been trying to implement more is how to make those free defenders miss, use my stiff arm more effectively, and little things like that. And being, a receiving quarterback, because coming from high school, we didn't catch a lot.
Right?
But
Hardly
also,
ever threw the ball.
yeah, I know, right, right. So yeah, that aspect as well, just being able to get out of the backfield and catch the balls. So
I want to
yep.
go back to Coach Burke for a second. I told him I was going to interview you. I asked him to give me something about you from him. This is what he wrote. Carson's impact will be felt on our program for a long time. I don't think any of us appreciated how good he was in the moment, especially for me, because I haven't been coaching as long as others. I think what comes to mind is speak softly, carry a big stick. What do you think he meant by that, Carson? And was it just letting your play do the talking?
Yeah, I mean, I think he did a great job of kind of letting me play how I wanted to. I wasn't a guy that was a rah rah guy or really liked to have a bunch of energy, but he respected how I played and he let me go out there and do the things I could do. So I really respected how he kind of coached different people and he knew their personality, and that was like one of the greatest things that he knew to do, was know the person's personality so that they can shine.
The college football EA sports game is coming out. Is it weird for you to be, because it came out last year, you're in a video game.
Yeah.
How cool is that?
Yeah, I mean, it's a great experience. Last year, that was the first one,
Did
and
you play the game?
I did last year. I did
Did
last year.
you up
It was a
your
lot.
ratings?
Yeah, yeah, that was good to see. I appreciate that from them, bumping up my overall. But I actually got rid of my PS5 a couple months ago, so I just said kind of goodbye to the video games. I kind of wanted to lock in, and but hopefully I'll get on one of my buddies' consoles and play it sometime, and we'll have some fun.
So
So
when you play the game and Iowa State's your team and you're controlling, I mean, do you just turn yourself into a maniac on the field?
yeah, that's usually the thing, is you just try to put yourself, 99s on everything, and you want to, just get as many yards as you can and touchdowns. But yeah, it's a really cool game, and I'm glad that we're able to be in it.
You averaged 5 yards a carry last year, 752 yards, 13 touchdowns. What's the goal this year? I know you want to win. I know you want your team to have success, but for you personally, do you set goals in mind of where you want to be?
Yeah, I've kind of been thinking on the goals recently of, what I want to do this year before fall camp.
Yep.
But I know you said, like, before, it's not about, what do you want to hear outside of the team of winning and everything. But I'll make those personal goals probably before we enter fall camp. Obviously want to have a great year
Yeah.
and be able to display my ability. But then again, like, the offensive line is huge into how us running backs play, because
Correct.
you can't run the ball without the big guys up front. So I'm just really excited for this team, and I think we have a great team coming back. So it'll be a great year.
Knowing you a little bit, being academic, all Big 12 means something to you. Talk
Yeah.
about that.
Yeah, I mean, football doesn't last forever. It's not a sport that you're gonna, be doing for the rest of your life. It's not like kind of golf or those type of things where you can just go out there and hit balls. But yeah, academics are really important to me. I want to be a financial advisor at some point. That's kind of my goal in that area. Love to work with numbers and do all that sort of thing. So yeah, I really value academics, and Coach Campbell really values academics as well.
Saturday, August 23rd, the Iowa State Cyclones open up against Kansas State in Dublin, Ireland. That's going to be an experience. What? Wrap your head around that for a second. What is that going to be like?
Yeah, so we're going to get there. We're going to practice there for a couple of days. It's kind of going to be a process of trying to figure out our rhythm, because we're going to be a little off kiltered from, the time difference. But they have a great plan in place for us getting there and then on the way back as well. So we'll get a couple practices in before, and then we'll get out there against K-State and just have fun and enjoy the moment, but be there for business and, obviously wanting to win. And it's a big rivalry game. So I think it will be, a great experience, atmosphere, and it'll be just great to be able to have that opportunity.
It's a national game on ESPN on Saturday, August 23rd. Hey, you're looking great. You sound great. Life is good. You got 2 great years coming up to really get going. Congratulations on your success. Keep it going. And we're all watching here in Minnesota. I'm very proud of what you're doing.
Yeah, thank you, Randy, for having me. I really appreciate all your support throughout the years in high school and till now. So yeah, just thank you for having me on the show.
You bet. Thanks, Carson. We'll be right back.
Thank you.
10K Construction is your one stop for all your general contracting needs, whether interior, exterior, residential, commercial, or multifamily properties. They build relationships with their clients, and that's how they've grown their business through referrals. Plus, they are teaming up with LP SmartSide to become Minnesota's premier siding installer. And they're also partnering with IKO Shingles as well. They've got the best of the best to do the job right. 10K Construction covers both Minnesota and Wisconsin. Now, the rumor is they charge a little extra because it's Packer land. I'm not sure about that, but what I am sure about, 10K Construction is the company you want handling all of your general contracting needs. Go to 10kconstruction.com for details. I am surrounded by future Iowa Hawkeyes in studio today. Owen Linder plays football at Chanhassen, offensive lineman, and Sawyer Jezierski plays a defensive line for Edina. Both have verbally committed to play football for Iowa. True transparency, I grew up in Cedar Rapids, about 15 miles north of Iowa City. Grew up a Hawkeye fan, so I'm very familiar with the program. Sawyer, what is it that you love? What is it that drew you to Iowa? That you said, this is the place I want to play football?
I just felt like home there, and a lot of people with the same goals, like-minded people, and a great coaching staff, and just a place I felt really connected to.
Have you been for a football game at Kinnick?
I haven't been for a game, but I got the chance to go down early June, and that was great.
You've been there for a game,
I
Owen?
have.
What was it like?
It's insane. I was at opening day. You could tell everyone was waiting for that game. It was against Illinois State, so not this big rivalry or any huge game, but everyone was there all 4 quarters. Loudest place I think I've ever been for a game. So it was insane.
And of course, you witnessed the Kinnick wave, which is at the end of the first quarter, where everybody turns and waves to the hospital and the kids that are at that hospital. What was that experience like?
It was awesome. You could tell, you see top row, everyone waving back. It's pretty cool that they do that, and it's been going on for so long. So being a part of it was just next level for me.
So they project you to play defensive line, I'm assuming. Thoughts about playing that position at the next level? What are the things that keep you awake at night as you think about, oh boy, I'm going to be playing in the Big Ten next year?
The athletic jump's going to be huge, and just I think I'm going to go down early, so getting adjusted to that will help. Going in January?
Yeah. Okay.
So I think getting adjusted to that, and really I think just like getting familiar with the playbook so I can play freely and just physical.
So how are you a different football player today than you were a year ago? What's the big change in you, maybe physically or as you get ready to play your final season at Edina?
Yeah, physically I'm bigger, and then I've been like,
When you say bigger, like what? How?
like 15 pounds bigger.
Okay.
And then I've really been working on my craft, so like technique wise, I feel like I'm a lot more sound now versus then.
You're more a D tackle than a DN.
Yeah, they play me inside.
So what's your height weight right now?
Like 6'3", 275.
Okay. Is that where you're going to play at this year? Are you comfortable at 275? You put the weight on, feels good on you?
Yeah.
How about for you? How are you different than a year ago?
I'd say I'm more mobile. I've done a lot of yoga and athletic kind of stuff.
A lot of yoga?
I have. Yeah.
Did Cullen Nelson push you into the yoga?
Not really. I kind of picked that up by myself, but I did it with my trainer, and I could tell it's been helpful throughout the whole process.
In what way? How does it help?
It makes it like you more comfortable, I think. So like I just feel my hips feel looser, so I can do certain things that I couldn't have done last year. Same with my shoulders. I have way better shoulder mobility. So that's been something that I've picked up this offseason that's helped me tremendously.
Your height weight right now?
I'm 6'6", 285.
And that's a comfortable weight for you, obviously. Right now, what do they project you to be at when you get there?
They want me to kind of stay the same. Okay. And then when I'm there, I'm going in January as well.
You are?
So,
okay.
They'll put the weight on better than I probably could for sure. So that's their thing with me. But they project me as soon as I like start playing and start at 315, 310, something like that. So
it's not only an adjustment for you from high school, it's an adjustment in lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
Fellas, it's Iowa.
Yeah.
It's not like the Twin Cities. There's not a lot to do there.
Yeah.
Have you thought about just what that's going to feel like? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, you're going to be really busy with both school and football, so there's not going to be a ton of time to do like extracurricular stuff. Yeah. But I mean, there's plenty of stuff to do. You can golf, you can go on the lake, whatever you need.
Go on a lake.
A lake.
Basically in Iowa.
Yeah.
What do you think the biggest adjustment for you will be just in terms of lifestyle for you?
Yeah. Like he said, you're going to be super busy with football and academics and all that stuff. But we went down for official visits. All 5 of the offensive line that are committed were down, and we were with the players.
It's a big group too.
It is big group. We were with the current Iowa players, and they kind of just took us around. We did a bunch of stuff, and it's a lot like kind of Chanhassen where I live, which I kind of like. It's a bit bigger, but there's stuff to do. There's not everything to do, but there's a good amount of stuff.
Was there any discussion from the Gophers at all during your recruiting process, or were you guys already sold that this is where you wanted to go?
So for me, I took a little longer. I committed in January, but they were kind of my first game day. They were my first kind of watching me work out.
Yeah.
I never had the connection that I had with Iowa or any of the other schools. So I didn't tell them no completely, but I was just kind of like, I got other places that I'd rather go. So I think they kind of knew that throughout the recruiting process for sure.
Yeah. How about for you?
Yeah, same thing.
Yeah.
But I kind of like, as soon as I got that Iowa offer, it's kind of like I knew.
Did you know right then?
Yeah.
Yeah. This is a banner year for Minnesota high school football in terms of talent. 10 of the 12 top players in the state have all committed to Power 5 programs. You 2 guys included. There's 3 guys in Minnesota going to Iowa State, so you'll get a chance to see those 3 guys, I'm sure, during the course of the year. Why do you think the talent is so good right now? Do you have any sense of why you look around and you see all these guys heading to big time programs?
I think it's a lot of people want to change the culture of Minnesota's not a football school. It's a hockey or football state. It's a hockey state or a different sports state, which I think pushes a lot of those people to kind of, let's make it a football state. We have my Chanhassen team has 2 Power 5 commits, and we know it. So it's it kind of changes from a hockey state to a kind of every sports state, because every sport has good players as well in this state. So that's my thing for it.
Yeah, you know, I think, and it takes just a couple guys like you guys to get those offers to go somewhere, and it excites, you know, your community to get. I know Mason West is going to go play hockey at Michigan State, but it just feels like there's a snowball effect going on right now where this state is turning out big time players.
Yeah.
Do you feel that way?
Yeah. I feel like once you get like a few, there's much more exposure, and then they figure out, oh, this kid can play too. And then it's kind of just like a snowball effect, like you said.
Yeah. I want to read something. I asked Jason Potts to send me something on you. I want to read this to you. He said, Sawyer lives for football. When he is not on the field, he's preparing for football. That includes extra workouts in the weight room, staying before or after practice, and hitting the sled or making sure his diet and sleep are on point. He works just as hard in the classroom and in the community. He leads by example and does everything we ask and more. What do you think about when you hear Coach say those things about you?
That means a lot. I mean, Coach Potts has been like a huge influence with me, not only in football, but as a person. So that means a lot when he says that. What
kind of relationship have you had playing for him?
Is he
tough? Has he pushed you?
Like a little bit, but he's very understanding and just like a person you can go and talk to if you need help on anything, or if you just want someone to talk to, he's there for you. And he's just like always there for you, and it's super supportive.
That's a great coach to have, right? So I talked to Cullen, and he said, as an 11th grader, moved to tackle, became the vocal leader and brought energy. He's a very good athlete, plays to the echo of the whistle. He has been part of our special culture we have where being a lineman is cool and of the utmost importance. Talk about that. I've never heard a coach, I know coaches stress that all the time, but I've never heard a coach say, our culture is that linemen are cool.
Yeah. Our kind of thing is, we know like receivers, running backs, they get all the praise, obviously, right? But in our O-line group, we know like that's because of us. Like, we're the starting point at every single play. We're one of the most important places. We may not get the praise and all this flashy stuff, but we know we do our job, and we're out there to just kind of kick ass and do our job. So, yeah.
You guys, this is, it's nice to get this decision out of the way. Probably makes your senior year feel a little bit more relaxed. Talk about playing with your buddies for the last time. What have you thought about that, and just trying to soak in all that's going to happen this fall?
Yeah, there's been multiple times that that's all I've been thinking about, especially last year. I kind of struggled with, I need to do this for college coaches, all that stuff. But now I just get to focus on kind of having fun, obviously, hopefully win a state championship. But I've been playing with these kids since 6th grade. So it's going to be cool to hopefully win it all this year with all of them. So,
yeah. How about for you? I mean, it's the same thing, right? This is the last go around.
Yeah, same thing. It's like a really special feeling. Been playing with them like my whole life, and to hopefully run it back this year and win the state championship with them would be special.
So I'm sitting here with you two, and I'm also thinking, 2 years from now, you'll probably be battling each other every day in practice.
Yeah.
You just met for the first time today. So what do you size him up, man? You're going to go up against him every day in practice. I interviewed Randall McDaniel this year for this show. He said what made him a Hall of Fame player was going up against John Randall every day in practice. So size him up. What do you think?
Yeah, he's much bigger than I thought. But yeah, I'm excited to compete, and I think it'll just help us get better every day, and it'll be a battle.
What's tough for high school kids sometimes is that you don't always have that kind of competition every day in practice, right? Yeah. I mean, you don't have a guy like this on the opposite of you every day. So how do you think that going to make you a better player?
I think the competition will obviously be better. I don't go against a lot of kids his size in high school, but I think for me, it's just the fact of knowing we're going to be butting heads every single time, couple fights, couple punches thrown, but then the next
it's already thrown the gauntlet down.
we're going to put our hands back in the ground and go after it. And then the next day we're still going to be buddies. So that's the cool part for me, is just that kind of aspect to it. So,
well, I appreciate you guys doing this. I wish you a lot of luck. You're going to enjoy Iowa City. You're going to enjoy game days. There's nothing like Kinnick Stadium. Edina opens the season against Hopkins this year. You open at home against Alex, which will be a great game in Class 5A. So thanks very much for doing this.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. We'll be right back. I was visiting with my friends at Truestone Financial the other day. They're a warm and welcoming group. They're known as the Neighborhood Credit Union, and I can't think of a better way to describe them. When I'm at Truestone, I feel like I'm chatting with my neighbors. Combine that personality with a full menu of services and a lot of financial expertise, and you have a winning combination. Whether I need a checking account, a car loan, or even a mortgage, I know I'm going to work with some very smart, friendly people. With 23 locations in Minnesota and Wisconsin, you're not far from a Truestone neighborhood. Visit a branch near you or learn more at truestone.org. Truestone is an equal housing opportunity lender. The Shaver Prep Football Podcast drops every Monday, and you can catch us on YouTube and where podcasts can be found. So the Minnesota Prep football season begins on Thursday, August 28th and Friday, August 29th. So we're just about there. And next week, we will preview the big games around the state of Minnesota. My thanks to producer Alex Haugen and the great folks here at Talk North. Thanks for watching and listening. And we'll see you for the opening week of high school football next week.